He's scored 4 tries now in his last 4 games.
But I've landed on Tolu Kola.
Yeah.
Why did you pick the Warriors then?
Because they should win, and they should win at home.
The comment that has the most tips correctly will get pinned in this video. Hello and welcome back to Ahead of the Game Sports Chat. It's Sports Pez Jez Tux Sports Takes for bets.com.au. We're here to pick tips and predictions for round 26.
Yeah, we should really just turn it into a try-scoring tips episode instead, I think, because our tips have been a bit average the last couple of weeks, but we nailed double try scorers last week.
Yeah.
So, it's a good start. You got to take the good with the bad, I guess.
The good with the good.
The good with the good? The good with
Should
the
we
good.
get straight into try scorers then?
Yeah, let's do it. And then people don't have to really watch anymore, right?
No,
Or what is...
skip to your favourite team after you hear these try scorer tips.
That's it.
No, but we do game previews on bets.com.au. Subscribe to this channel because you're going to get a lot from this channel as well.
Yeah.
Subscribe to this one, and then when you've watched this video, you've figured out some stuff, head over to bets.com.au and you can check out all the game previews for the upcoming round 26 of NRL, and also, what is there? More AFL, Formula One, it's basketball coming.
Yeah, on the horizon, there's heaps of good stuff. And same on this channel as well. We'll be going deep into the NBL, NFL. We love a punt on the NFL. And then you've also got Big Bash and some international cricket. So, yeah, and the Formula One season just sort of never ends really these days. So there's Formula One when there's Formula One on, which is, probably every second weekend until Christmas. So,
Exactly.
So there's plenty going on here, plenty going on over there. So swing by both and subscribe to both channels.
Okay, Jez, now last week you picked Casey McLean to score a try.
Yeah.
In my write-up, I also picked him for the first try scorer. And, mate, we won.
Mate.
Perfect.
It's all me. I'll take all the credit for your good tips.
Who are you on this week?
Wanted to just ride the Casey McLean train, but coming up against the Bulldogs, a little bit of a tougher opponent. So I'm actually going to jump on Dean Mariner. Also paid this week in my write-up from the Brisbane game. And he scored 4 tries now in his last 4 games. He had sort of a big period off there from round 7, and then he was playing on the wing, but then he's come back and started to play in the centres, and he's gone 4 in 4 games. So, and scored in his last, or 3 of his last 4, but 4 tries in his last 4. So, he's definitely on. Going up against the Cowboys, don't have a lot to play for. We know the Cowboys love to leak points. So, should be plenty of points on offer, and he'll definitely snag one. What are you on?
Well, my try scorer pick for this weekend, it was tough to pick one. So I had a look at Taylor May first. He scored, 4 tries in 5 games?
Yeah.
But had only scored in 3 games. He scored a double last weekend.
Yeah.
But coming up against Canberra, tough that one. I thought about Xavier Coates. He was the guy I won on last weekend.
Yeah.
Towering above the Bulldogs defense, as we expected. But coming up against the Roosters, and you don't really know how those battles in the air will eventuate.
Yeah.
But I've landed on Tolu Kola.
Yeah.
And for me, Tolu Kola, he's scored 9 tries in his last 11 games for the Sea Eagles.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And I think it's 5 in a row.
It's gone a little bit under the radar, I think.
I think the guy is just an amazing runner of the ball.
Yeah.
You've seen 2 weeks ago when they played, was it Canberra, maybe? I don't know. He just busted them up the middle and just broke 3-4 tackles to get over the try line. And I think he can do this again against a who are they playing? Saints defense, who
they let 40 against us. So
we haven't been talking about a good St George defense for a lot of weeks.
Yeah.
So I think Tolu Kola as a try scorer against the Dragons this weekend is my best try scorer tip. He's got the form, coming up against a bad defense, and Manly have everything to play for. They are right in touching distance of a final spot.
Yeah.
And he's one of the guys that really shifts the gears and gives the team momentum going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. All of a sudden with the injury or the concussion to Sam Walker, the whole top 8 battle is open. It was like we were locked in. Roosters are going to dominate. They've got it sealed. And now Sam Walker out. They got pumped by Parra as soon as he got injured. And now it's all open again between them and the Dolphins. So old Cherry Evans just might have shot at the finals again. It felt like it was all over a few weeks ago. So, yeah, look out for Kola. I think that's an awesome tip, actually.
Okay, let's look a little bit back at last weekend's tips. And I put a nice little head subtitle here. Don't look back in anger.
Yeah.
It was
Is that just for you?
More
or-
to myself, yeah. So it wasn't a great round for myself, 4 from 8, and I've slipped further behind in the ranking. So I'm 4.
Yeah, 32 to 28 over the last, six rounds.
Oh,
So
it's atrocious.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not happy about
So
it.
you can basically tune off. Just listen to the try scoring tips, and the rest is just crap coming out of your mouth. No.
But it was. I backed the Dragons to beat the Rabbitohs, and they were just. They weren't the Dragons team that we've seen over the past kind of month to 6 weeks of the NRL season. And hey, you're going to have those games sometimes with a team that is still trying to find their identity.
Yeah.
They've re-signed their coach. They've still got a few pieces to
Stop
move.
making excuses.
But it was just like they were woeful, and they got found out and they got drilled. So I mean that one's gone. And I don't know the other pick. What else did I miss? No, that was it. That was the only one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was only one this week. We both bombed out, obviously, on the Roosters.
Yeah.
And then which one was also a Dolphins? Manly crushing the Dolphins.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of faith in the Dolphins
despite them not having Herbie Farnworth.
Yeah, but it's like, how much could it, like, Herbie be so influential? How influential was Herbie Farnworth is what I was trying to say. But it just feels like, yeah, something happened when he got injured. I don't think they've won a game since he got injured. So, yeah, it obviously shows his worth, but yeah, we just still expected a lot more. And not very often you score 30 points and lose. So
Dolphins are a team that can do that.
Yeah, apparently so. So their defense is in trouble. I think the period where they were playing really well had a lot to do with Katoa's kicking game, which it sort of must have got them out of trouble, because it feels like they've had big patches this season where they've actually been really struggling defensively, and it's obviously showing coming up to these games. And that Manly game was a game that they could have won on paper, and now it could cost them a finals berth all of a sudden with the Roosters struggling. So yeah, a lot on the line this week, especially in that game, because they're the two teams that are chasing for
it's going to be
top 8.
decisive.
So, yeah.
All right, let's get on. Anything more to say about round 25?
No,
I don't think so.
Another 5 from 8. I think I've gone 5 from 8 every week since we started doing this. Step 1, I got 7 from 8. So I'm consistently average.
All right, let's get into round 26, and the first matchup is the Bulldogs up against the Penrith Panthers. We've both taken the Panthers in this one. I want to lead in with the Bulldogs' Thursday night record, and if I'm not mistaken, if you want to bring it up, I think it is 3-7 on Thursday night games since the beginning of the 2019 season, and that's coming up against the Panthers team that are 17-10 on Thursday nights. So I don't think the Bulldogs have, judging from their last few weeks of footy, and we've spoken a lot about the Bulldogs on this show, but they just don't get up on Thursday night. Something about the preparation for them.
Yeah, it just seems that way. And I think Penrith's the complete opposite. Penrith, have got a bit of a point to prove, it feels like, because they've had 2 straight losses, but against the top 2 teams in the competition. I think sort of forget that when you look at it. Both have played Melbourne and Canberra. Now they've got to play Canterbury, so a bit of a tough stretch. And we sort of wanted to know what were Penrith, and I think we have a pretty good idea that they're going to be obviously a contender. They come back into the 8, surging up the ladder because they were playing bottom 8 teams. But now they've played the 2 best teams in the comp and pushed them to Golden Point. There's nothing in it when you look at those 3 teams really in the competition. And now this is a good chance for Canterbury. They've sort of fallen off a cliff, and they need to find some sort of form in these final couple of rounds. And there's no better way than to beat the reigning premiers. So I think this is a dangerous game. It's going to be a pretty exciting game. Both of these teams can play extremely well defensively and win that territory battle. So it'll be a little bit of a force backs. Everyone's played it in the schoolyard anyway. It's going to be a little bit like that between Matt Burton and Nathan Cleary. So I think whoever can take their chances is going to win this game, and that's why I've tipped Penrith over Canterbury, because it just feels like the Canterbury attack has just been absolutely struggling. They just haven't been able to find any fluency when attacking the line. And I think they put together one good piece last week, and it didn't have Matt Burton and it didn't have Lockie Galvin. It was Connor Tracy. So it was between Connor Tracy and Stephen Crichton, and it feels like that's not what you want to see, especially from a contender in the Canterbury Bulldogs. So I'm a little bit worried. They've fallen off a cliff, and they need to prove themselves this week.
So over their past 4 games, they have scored 14 points. 14 points was against the Tigers. Then they scored 32 against New Zealand, which was a good win.
Yeah.
Then 12 points against the Roosters, and then 14 points against Melbourne. Yeah. So, as to your point, their attack hasn't been firing. And we've been speaking about, okay, when's it going to gel enough for that combination to work? But we're still not seeing it enough. They were such a structured and defensive team to start the season, and they built their attack off the back of their defense because they were able to build the pressure. But now without the structure in their attack, they're finally kind of getting a little bit lost when they get to the point where they need to put that attack into motion. And I think Penrith, they're peaking at the right time. You know, they've lost 2 games, but as you said, pushed to golden point. They've been in it. They've been closer than anybody else in these games against these top opponents when you look how they play each other.
Yeah.
And they're going to be an extremely tough team to beat come finals time. And Canterbury haven't done well against top 8 teams.
No. Yeah, it's going to be, I think this is sort of make and break. It's a scary thought to think that, like, Penrith, we're both tipping them to win heading into the finals, and maybe even heading into the finals in the bottom half of the top 8. And it's going to be good to see when they're playing every week what they can actually do. It's going to, man, I'm so pumped for this September. It's going to be an absolute ripper.
The Bulldogs are 4-5 against current top 8 opponents. So take what you will out of that one.
Yeah.
Next game, it is the New Zealand Warriors hosting the Parramatta Eels. I think this could be the final home game of the Warriors in the regular season. Their projected scoreline is to beat the Eels with 14 points. We both tipped the Warriors at home.
Yeah.
Despite the Eels beating the Roosters last weekend and having a massive resurgence with Mitch Moses in the team. And I think for me, it's not only the playmaking that he brings to this team, but it's the momentum he can build and his leadership. And we spoke about it, how he reacted to Talon De Silva 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
And you've seen it so well against the Roosters in this game last weekend, how he just lifted the whole feeling of the team and showed them, this is what we do, boys.
Yeah.
Get on my back. Those runs, the kick, the chase, the try, and the feeling afterwards, they all just gravitate towards him and the way he carries himself on the field. And I think that is a massive step. It's a big thing of why I thought Parramatta were going to play finals this year and why I had them rated quite highly, because he is a leader and he's a big time player. He's a clutch player. And I just think, if he had been playing the whole season, Parramatta are in the top 8.
Yeah, well, look, they've won 3 of their last 5. So that shows something. I'm absolutely not confident about this tip. Just from all the things that you said, there is no more dangerous combination in the NRL than Mitchell Moses and Zach Lomax. You just see it all the time. You know it's coming. You know the kicks are coming, but it just causes so much disruption. And then if they decide to do something different, it becomes a shock and you be unprepared. Or if the kick is a little bit shorter than going all the way out, it just brings some of these second rowers into play and the centers into play. And that's not what you're preparing for. I think if you're on the inside in between Moses and Lomax, you're expecting it to go that long way and you're playing block, but then all of a sudden the ball's landing on your head and that causes issues as well. So yeah, I'm not totally confident. I feel with the Warriors, like we've talked about, they've been up and down. Obviously, since Metcalf got injured, it feels like they're starting to find their way and find their groove a little bit more now that all the fuss has disappeared. So, but I'm not confident they can play consistently enough, and they haven't been really playing that well at home either. So, you just never know. Para have nothing but pride to play for, and that's a dangerous spot. I think we've seen that a lot in the AFL, even over the last couple of weeks. It's a dangerous spot to come up against an Eels side with that much class and nothing to lose.
Well, I'm going to ask you, why did you pick the Warriors then?
Because they should win, and they should win at home. Like the stats point to it, but I feel that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you sort of the reasons why I feel like this could be an upset and we could be wrong. But I'm not brave enough to tip against the Warriors at home at this stage of the year.
So a couple of points from me. The Warriors' home defense is ranked third in the league. They're allowing only 17.3 points per game to their opponents. And they have an 11-2 record against bottom 9 opponents. So, they've had some troublesome games against top 8 opponents where you think maybe they should have played better, but against the bottom feeders, they've been pretty dominant. And so I think that's what gets them across the line here. Even if their attack stumbles, their defense should see them through.
Yeah. Thanks for the recovery there.
Well, I didn't know how to front this. Like, should I ask you the question but answer it for you, or let you answer?
You usually do that in all aspects of what we do. So,
we have another marquee matchup on Friday night, and it's the Melbourne Storm hosting the Sydney Roosters. The projected scoreline here, Jez, 33 points to 18, I guess you could say. Do you expect this game to kind of blow out, as the predicted scoreline says?
I think we can expect a different Roosters side to what we saw against Parramatta, because now you've obviously got a week to prepare for Melbourne, and without Sam Walker, you knew right from that moment when he stumbled back on his face that he wasn't going to play against Melbourne. So I think you prepare a much more defensive front. So, yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a blowout, but I think Melbourne are going to cover it. It feels like the Roosters, their momentum and drive certainly came from when Sam Walker came back, and that combination with Tupou opened things up also for Tedesco, and now you don't have that in attack. So you've got to just play a more defensive game, and that could see maybe the margin stay a little bit closer. But I don't really see, with Melbourne still fighting for the minor premiership. They take pride in that. You obviously have seen that over this whole sort of era that they've had, that they want to win the minor premiership. They want to finish first, and they want to win the grand final. So I think it is dangerous. You don't see them stumbling here. And I just don't think the Roosters now have enough points in them to be able to contend with Melbourne.
You wonder who comes in here for Sam Walker, whether it's Chad Townsend. Is he retired already, or is he at the end of the season?
Wouldn't it be
Sandon Smith? Yeah,
I presume.
I'm a little bit in the same aspect. I don't think the Roosters have the points in them. You look at
you've been tipping against the Roosters for the last few weeks, and then you tipped with them this week, and then Sam Walker gets injured and they lose by 30 to Para.
I think I said it. You could probably go back to last week's episode and say, now that I'm tipping them, they're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
I didn't obviously Sam Walker to get knocked out.
No.
But I mean, their defense away from home is the second best in the league. Their scoring away from home has been the fourth best in the league. But over the last five weeks, their defensive efforts have kind of trailed off, and it was obviously against the Eels last weekend where that really took a hit. The Storm now up into first in the last 5 games. Defensively, they're under 20 points a game to their opponents. So they are a team that also is conditioned to peak at the right time of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point.
And they're extremely strong at home. We know that they're one of the better teams in the competition over the last decade at Amy Park. So I think you're going to see a Roosters team that are going to come in and try and maybe lock the game down, keep the total low, to give them still a chance to, with the minimal amount of points they are expected to score, still be in with a chance. But if this game gets away from them, then Melbourne could possibly blow it out, as the projected scoreline says.
Yeah, I had a little inkling on diving into the stats there of the Roosters' record against Melbourne. They've lost 7 in a row. And they've won 1 in their last 13 games. So they're pretty daunting stats when you're coming in with not your right halves combination. And even Teddy feels like he's been a little bit quieter the last couple of weeks than what he was when he was in that sort of just crazy form there for a while.
When you said he was the Australian fullback.
Yeah, exactly. And then he slowed down a little bit. The age come back to him. We all know how that feels.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Super Saturday. The league-leading Canberra Raiders have a chance, I think, to lock up the minor premiership if they win this game, because there's already 2 wins ahead, or 1 win ahead from the Melbourne Storm. So they're coming up against the Tigers, who still mathematically have a chance to win.
Or is it all over now? Because they lost.
No, because the Roosters lost. But they have to win by 50 points. Both this game and the next game have to win by 50. And the Roosters and Dolphins need to
they're fucked.
Lose. And Manly, I think. It's
a big ask.
It's a big ask. But Canberra at home, another strong team on their home soil, another team that have been strong against bottom 9 opponents this season. I don't see where the Tigers can match the Raiders in scoring.
Yeah, and maybe even in attack as well. I think, like, you see them when they're coming up against tougher sides that they've struggled a little bit in attack, but defensively, like the Raiders, like, I'm still shocked that they continue to be good and excel and be able to score points. And look, there's a lot of momentum for Canberra at the moment, and I think that win, like the type of win that they had against Penrith last weekend, makes them even more dangerous, because you create this self-belief and you create this like just hype that we can get through anything, we can do anything, we can beat any team no matter what the situation. We just need a little opportunity. And with a team that's maybe like still being underrated is extremely dangerous, because it just gives you more fuel to the fire of, we're going to just kick everyone's ass and we're going to win the grand final. So
we can imagine that half the motivation talk in the locker room would be Ricky Stewart telling him, no one believes in you. Yeah. No one believes in you.
Yeah, 100%.
Look at these, probably got the newspapers printed up on the walls.
Yeah.
Like, look what this bloke said about you, or this newspaper.
Yeah, every week that I say that, I can't believe that the Raiders are on top of the ladder.
Yeah, he's listening to ahead of the game.
Yeah, he knows. But I'm just trying to win. Jumping on the bandwagon now, my childhood team was always the Canberra Raiders. I don't know if you ever knew that.
No, I didn't.
No? Always the Canberra Raiders. The whole David Furner, Laurie Daly, Mullins era was Canberra Raiders when I was little. But now I'm a suffering Titans fan.
Moving on. The Dragons host the Manly Sea Eagles at Netstrata Jubilee. We had a bit of a problem figuring out the
name of it,
the venue in our stat sheet, so that everything matched up.
Yeah,
but they're predicted to beat the Sea Eagles here, and I'm a little bit cautious in this one. I mean, we're split. Oh, we're split. All right. Yeah. I'm on the Dragons.
Yeah.
Oh. Lord help me.
Yeah. It's a good multi, because you can tip the Dragons and tip Kola as your anytime try scorer, and you get a little bit of extra value. Yeah. All right.
So, you tell me first why you picked Manly, because I think I might have just picked opposite.
Yeah, I think for me, Manly have been a little bit of my bogey team over the last few weeks. I feel like every time I tip Manly, they lose. So putting a disclaimer out there already early, a lot of disclaimers in this episode.
Except when I pick the Dragons, then they'll win.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. We just saw what they can do, Manly, and I think now that they've got a chance to make the finals, and I think it is actually a realistic chance that the Roosters strike out over the next 2 weeks. So there is a shot, and you can see when they actually click how many points they can put on. Yes, it was against the Dolphins, but things were working. They were unstoppable. I think if you follow Supercoach, I'm pretty sure it was like Kola, Tom Trbojevic and Daly Cherry Evans all over 100 points in stats, which means their attack is absolutely on fire, and it was, and it should be. So they have the attack to do it, and coming up obviously against St. George, who lucked out in the rain last week against South Sydney, but it just sort of, they're just so inconsistent, the Dragons, and yes, Manly are as well. So it's obviously why we're a little bit split here. But I just see that Manly can build some momentum. They've got a little bit of belief back of maybe making the top 8. So yeah, that's why I picked them. But
an interesting thing here, and if you jump on to bets.com.au, we release the game previews kind of throughout the week. Saturdays normally will come up on Wednesday.
Latest Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday probably.
Yeah.
You're going to get the cheat sheet there. And this is what we use to get we put all of our stats and all of our insights and all of our exotics and all of our trends into one sheet so that we can also try and predict the game. Here is a very interesting point that I've picked out of this cheat sheet for this game. The Dragons have the 4th best home defense in the league. 4th best.
That's insane.
That's outrageous.
That's insane.
And you think you got the Storm, you got the Panthers, you got the Bulldogs, you got the Roosters are a good defensive team even. St. George Illawarra, the 4th best defensive team at home this season, 17.5 points per game only to their opponents.
But if they don't score any points, then they don't win, right?
But that's the thing. Like that's why a little bit why I picked them last week, and I thought this team they can score points. They've got guys that can put points on the board, and they've been dynamic in their attack.
Yeah.
It's their defense that's been struggling a little bit to keep up with opposition, but that blew up in my face.
Yeah, but their defense was actually good over those few weeks where they beat Cronulla and they beat someone else big that they shouldn't have beat. And you thought, that they were better, but then they've just dropped off the cliff again. But that's the Dragons over the last few years. There's no consistent winning mentality there. So I don't know why you picked the Dragons, to be honest.
It'd be nice to know if there's any Dragons watching this one, put in the comments why you follow your team.
Or maybe why you think they're inconsistent, what it is that's happening at the club that you can't seem to string together wins when you have had quality. There's been quality there, there's been chances, but just can't seem to keep it together for a month.
Yeah. And so those short margins, it's been getting it.
Yeah.
The 1 point losses, the 2 point losses, the 4 point losses.
Yeah.
But maybe that's something that they can improve. I think it's their pack. They need a bit more depth in the back row and the forwards, and maybe that can help them to turn things around, both in attack to get more meters, but also defensively to shore up that middle.
Yeah, maybe they can flip it like the Raiders have done, and all of a sudden start winning those tight games instead of losing them, and all of a sudden you're minor premiers. Nobody believes in.
The final game of Super Saturday. It's the North Queensland Cowboys hosting the Brisbane Broncos. And this one, I had some sort of inkling. Well, I thought the Cowboys, I don't know why I thought they have been good at home against the Broncos. And I think it's a little bit, I listened to some other podcasts about footy, and I thought they've spoken about the Broncos having a bad record against the Cowboys. But when we look at the numbers, the Broncos have won, what did we say? Was it 5 in a row or something? And the last 2 at Country Bank Stadium. Yeah. So the numbers aren't in the Cowboys' favour here. And it seems like Reece Walsh has woken up a little bit and found exactly where he fits into this team. Not pushing too much. Yeah. It's like doing enough, but don't try and win the game yourself while also setting up your teammates. It's either do one or the other.
Yeah.
And when he picks his moments like that, it feels like he's much more effective in helping this team get across the line.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a real change over the last 2 weeks, really. I think we saw 3 weeks ago he was forcing everything, and it sort of feels like now that Brisbane's hopes of doing anything. I think they secured their spot last week with the win. To make the finals. But if they're going to do anything in September, it feels like it's going to be on Reece Walsh's shoulders, because if his form swings, which it has done throughout his career, they're going to eventually lose in the finals. But when he is in form, he's obviously one of the most electric players in the game and is extremely influential. But can he do it all the time? And then what happens? I'm not entirely sure on the fitness of Ezra Mam and Reynolds if they're gone even long into the finals. But feels like whatever's happening now, he's getting a license to be able to put himself and inject himself in the game while not having to think about so much more and leaving that up to Ben Hunt to sort of steer the ship. And then maybe it's a good thing as well with Ben Hunt just working on that and not having to be the go guy. And that maybe that combination might fit for Brisbane. It seems to over the last couple of weeks at least. So, yeah, but this is always a tough game in these derbies to tip. Another disclaimer. No, just joking. I don't see the Cowboys getting up here. They put on a whole heap of points against West in another shootout against the West Tigers. Those games are always unpredictable. I think you need to take the switch on those often.
It was like every other team, right?
Because they've been smashing each other, and there's been like 60 plus points over the last 3 seasons, I think, in every game. So that's wild, but I don't think you can expect that against Brisbane, a little bit more of a well-drilled team. So I don't know. Definitely tipping Brisbane here.
And you'd think Brisbane have the firepower, but also up against this. It's a record worst defense for the Cowboys this season. One of the worst defenses in the league.
Yeah.
They probably aren't going to be able to hold out against just the firepower that the Broncos have right across the board.
Yeah.
The centers, the wingers are just amazingly quick and crafty, and they bust tackles. You've spoken about Walsh, but even the back rowers are strong, and they can hit holes and bust tackles.
Yeah.
I can't see the Cowboys standing up. Like I think a really good tip in this game would be looking at the Broncos team total or something like that if you're into betting. But I can't see the Cowboys holding the Broncos to really under 30 points.
No, because they just fade out for periods, the Cowboys. It's been something that they've done over the last few seasons. It's like they can play really well defensively, but it's like they'll just have a glap of like 10 minutes.
A glap?
And a glap? Is that what it's?
A gap?
A gap? A glap? What is it when you like a glap in your mind when it misfires? Isn't it called a glap, or is that just? Am I having
Swedish.
A glap? Okay, all right. In my other language, but but anyway, they have a gap or a hole, and they just give up a lot of points in a short period of time. Is what I was trying to say.
Right.
Where they'll let in 3 tries in 10 minutes, and then they have the opportunity. Then they do it again later on in the game, and then all of a sudden there's 6 tries. That's their biggest problem. And Brisbane are a team that takes advantage of that. I think especially when Reece Walsh is in a mood, you'll just see them. They'll score in consecutive sets, and the game will be over.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Sunday, and the first game of Sunday ticket is the Canberra Rays, the Cronulla Sharks. And Newcastle, poor old Newcastle, have to keep playing games.
Yeah.
Despite
they have to keep showing up. Can't they have a bye at the end of the season so they don't have to play? Yeah, and coming up against the Sharks, who love a bottom 8 team. They tear them apart.
Flat track bullies.
Yeah, 100%. So this is an extremely dangerous.
Did you see there's a pretty good meme doing the rounds that there's something about Newcastle being so bad, and the breaking news, they've lost 5 in a row, so they've re-signed Adam O'Brien for the next 3 years.
Have they really signed Adam?
I don't know. They can't keep him on board.
Yeah, something.
And it's not so much maybe his coaching style, but they have to blow it up and start again, because the roster's not working, the coaching's not working.
Yeah.
There's not much working there.
No. How much weight do you think that they have on what Dylan Brown can bring to the club next year? Do you think it's too much? Like they're paying him all this money?
Yeah. Well, I think between him and KP, it's a quarter of their salary.
Maybe that's
2 players. It's like, come on, boys.
Yeah. Like I think it's a really dangerous spot for them. I think they next season. We're supposed to be talking about this game, but I think next season, if they don't win early, they're just gonna capitulate again.
Yeah. Well, early 2026 tip is Knights for wooden spoon. Or what?
They can almost get wooden spoon if the Titans get up in the next game, which I've tipped. All of a sudden, you go into a wooden spoon race with Newcastle in the final round.
Okay. Well, this one, we've both tipped Cronulla. As we said, they're flat track bullies.
Yeah.
They have monstered bottom 9 teams this season, haven't played well against top 8. But here Newcastle's defense was almost a pillar of defensive structures in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
But over the last couple of weeks, they've just fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to pull up their last couple of games there, but without their attack firing, it feels like their confidence in just the team mantra in general has completely disappeared. And you can see individual stuff. Dane Gagai is still trying. Bradman Best is still trying. But I think the cohesion in the team is missing. And that really affects defensive structures when you have to rely on the guy inside you.
Yeah.
And maybe you're not on the same page, or there's so much chopping and changing in the roster that you can't get those connections made. And yeah, what is it?
Yeah, averaging 44 points against in their last 4 matches. So that's pretty, considering they had early in the season, they were one of the best defensive teams in the comp that were letting in the least amount of points. That was sitting around sort of that 16, 18 point mark. So it's pretty crazy, but it is exactly like what you said. They've dropped off a cliff. Just, you can see the disappointment when there's tries scored of a winger or a centre looking at the guy that missed the tackle. Yeah. And that's a dangerous spot to be in because you're making it very public that you're disappointed that they didn't do that job. So yeah, like, I don't know. It's a scary thought when you look up on the screen that they're also only predicted to score 8.78 points. Like, when your projected score is under 10, you're in big trouble, especially against the Sharks. So, because the Sharks can score and the Sharks have pretty good defense. So, yeah, they're in trouble. This is a little bit of a no-brainer.
So there's 8 games this season where the Knights have scored 10 points or less, and their average over the last 7 games is only 13 points per game. So there's not much, if you're a Newcastle fan, to be happy for right now. You'd have one foot on the plane to Bali, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they have had for the last 4 weeks by the looks of it.
The final game of the round, and one that could have some top 8 implications and also wooden spoon implications. The Dolphins hosting the Gold Coast Titans. Here we have made different picks. I'm on the Dolphins. Poss, you going on the Titans?
Yeah, I'm backing the Titans just because, I don't know, it's Gold Coast kid, and backing the news that got released today with Des Hasler moving on, Josh Hannay coming in. I think sometimes when you have this type of big news, the squad and the players sort of step up. And I think this is a 50-50 game. I've lost faith in the Dolphins over the last few weeks. I think that they're going to miss the 8, predict them to miss the 8, not even be in that sort of battle there with Manly. And I just think, yeah, when it comes to these types of games, it's basing it basically emotional tipping, which is probably not a good idea, but just expect them to lift after the news that Des Hasler's out and want to play for him if they liked him or not or thought it was going to work. They'll play for him and they'll join as a group because it's just them at the moment and beat the Dolphins in a derby match.
I think this one has an opportunity to be a bit of a shootout. You know, when Jaden Campbell and Brimo and those guys get going offensively, they can score points on anybody. And the Dolphins' defense has not been good this season.
No.
So I think this game could be much closer than what our predicted scoreline here on the screen says. It says 39 to 20, roughly.
It's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points. A lot of points in this game. So, and I think it's just like we spoke about it almost directly after Herbie Farnworth went down. The shift in the way they played in the same game, just without him, was totally different. And that has then continued over the next couple of weeks when he hasn't been in the lineup. They haven't had that dynamic run out on the edge, which gets that extra 20 meters to help them, in the second or third tackle of their set, to get them on the front foot, a quick play the ball, and then being able to spread out the ball, which has been their attack for majority of the season.
Yeah.
And without that run, they've had to really figure out a different way to try and attack with the ball, and they haven't found it yet. Even though they can still score points if they get a bit of a broken play or a good backup through the middle, if they don't have that structure which they can always go to if they're struggling, then you kind of lost at sea a little bit.
Yeah, but it's the defense that's a big problem. And if they go into a shootout with the Titans can definitely compete. And they've allowed over the last 3 weeks an average of 53.33 points per game. So 2 games over, 1 game of 64 points and 1 game of 58 points. So that's insane.
Yeah.
So there's something really wrong. It can't just be Herbie, because if you're letting in 50 plus points in 2 of 3 games, you're in big trouble. And so go the Titans.
All right, so to wrap this up, we're both taking the Panthers over the Bulldogs. We're both taking the Warriors over the Eels. The Storm over the Roosters. The Raiders over the Tigers. And then we've taken different. I'm on the Dragons. You're on the Sea Eagles.
Yeah.
The Broncos will beat North Queensland. Cronulla will beat Newcastle. And then
Titans will beat
We're split.
the Dolphins.
Dolphins will win.
All right.
I can control this, and I say Dolphins. Dolphins win. Not letting him back on the camera. Well, that, I guess, wraps us up for round 26. Am I getting the right? There we go.
There you go.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Finals on the doorstep. Round 27, we don't know what that's going to hold in the bag in terms of team lists, who's going to be resting players, and whether there'll be any games that will have top 8 implications. If a team has to win to get in, or where maybe those 5 to 8, and we spoke about it on our finals preview with League of Inches with Joel. You can check that out on the channel here. The stats around progressing through finals, if you're in that 5 to 8 ranking, it's not good. So
not to win a grand final, at least.
No,
that's the whole point, right?
That's that's the whole point.
Yeah, I think this round it's gonna be wild. I'm expecting
lots of points.
I'm expecting upsets. I'm not expecting even really to probably hit over 5 in the tipping confidently, even though this is a tipping show. So, but I think it's going to be some really, really unexpected results, and there's going to be a little bit of a shake up there in those last few teams, and making for at least an exciting. At least there's going to be something to watch and be on the edge of your seat for in round 27, because I don't think the top 8 is settled yet, and even sort of moving into the top 4 and stuff with some results this week. So a lot to play for. Going to be a really interesting round. We'll
pin the comment that has the most tips correctly will get pinned in this video. So if you get all 8, then I think you're on fire this week. If you can get all 8,
I'll give you $5.
We'll send it. We'll
a shoogie,
cash up,
a 20,
whatever it's called.
Yeah.
All right. Check out bets.com.au for all the game previews, Sports Pez Jez, Tuck Sports Takes, rounding out round 26 tips and predictions.
Yeah, and stay with us. Oh, hang with us.
Hang with us.
Hang with us.
Stay.
Hang with us and stay ahead of the game.